Good morning. This is Vance in my morning Forex trading session. Here I give you my take on fundamental sentiment, my reads on price, and I touch on the trading skills that allow you to master the market and yourself in trading. Hello to our team out there at forexartofwar.com. The talk out there right now is about investment and the FOMC data, which is due out tomorrow. If you followed my story, the main function of the Fed, as well as central bankers around the world, is stability. So when the US dollar was gaining momentum at any given time, for example, the powers that be tend to focus on the negatives in the US in order to stall the US dollar and maintain stability. The latest development since last week is that the pound is changing a bit in the UK. There have now been a couple of indications that the move of the UK to leave the Eurozone is losing favor. The polls now show that the UK is actually in favor of staying in the EU. Previously, Brexit, as it's also called, was weakening the pound. So in the US, bond prices and investment remain in a range, largely due to a period of where there wasn't a lot of news developing. Most investors are content to be cautious ahead of the latest Fed data, which begins today, but the main FOMC statement is tomorrow. Only about 20% of the market is expecting any kind of rate change in June. In tomorrow's event in general is just probably a non-event. I think the market has a good read on what the Fed is likely to do. As far as oil, it's climbed a bit last week. Gold is still in its kind of 1 month range. Getting over to price movement, let's start with pound today. As you can see, the pound is approaching a 3-month high going back to beginning of February. But let's zoom in, take a really close look at price movement. I'll go back to the euro and let's see what developed this morning. As you can see, the balance of money that's available to move in a 2 to 10 day period, the balance is to the top side this morning. One of the things that you do see me looking at is what's happened since London Open, and that was up, followed by a pullback to this range level, and then another move of about 67, so very strong to the top side. Pound, looking like it came out of this range right here, made a couple of moves. Now, what we want to do is identify any meaningful levels. And one of the things you'll notice me doing is you'll notice me identifying kind of choke points and where buyers or sellers would need to gain an advantage. And you can see that here, this is a pretty obvious level. And as you see, as I was kind of first looking at charts this morning, price was flirting with this level right here. And as you can see, the 30-minute candle, the amount of money that changed hands on the part of the buyers and sellers over a 30-minute period reached a 50-50 level right here at this line. All right, so what I would do at that point is I would go down to the 5-minute chart and see if there was a change, right? So let's do that. And obviously if it closed, okay, so here's what happened. As it came at this level, you did indeed get a close showing that the buyers had more strength. There was a lot of sellers pushing, and and then they pushed back, but they held right here. They held on the other side. And this is very, very common. You'll see this. And so for me, when I see a level and the relationship with the long wick in this case, I would be influenced by that close above that level. Now, most of the time when you see me do this, there will be a lot of cause to say, you know what, this is the key level. In this case, there was only one spot going back to the 21st. So I'd have been slightly cautious here, but I also would have noticed or at least kept in mind that the movement was largely up this morning. And so as this holds a second time, it dips down in here and the buyers push it all the way up here. That was potentially a good spot there. Now, in addition, we're looking at a potential pullback. If you look at my book, Forex Legacy, you'll see that there's a wave here. And this move starts here. And let's see what that, let's see how strong that is. That's about 30 pips. And now we're currently in a pullback. So you'll see a lot of orders popping in at 38.2 because these traders were taking profit, and then they have reorders in there at 38.2. If the market has any reason to pause a little bit, it'll, on the euro anyway, it'll pull back to 50%. Now, in terms of managing your risk in a trade here, the optimal profit target is going to be the 5-minute candle body close right here. And so what this does is begins to set up a potential relationship with your risk management, your target, your entry, and your stop. Now, we would want a stop loss down below this level, and preferably, in this case, below this level, below this swing low right here. So I would prefer a stop there if I'm looking at this trade. And now what that does is likely or unlikely as it may be, is it creates a pretty obvious place for me to enter a trade. Now, if you're more aggressive, you might go ahead and say, you know what, this level right here, that's a demand area that the buyers broke out of, plus we're below 76.4. You could be more aggressive and try to get a 0.71 or 1-to-1 risk to reward relationship based upon a pullback. That's a simple calculation, 0.75 target, and you know, to one part risk. So risking $100 to make 75. Now, very often you'll see me just go for 1-to-1 because of what I do. Now, that's the more aggressive trade. So you need to get in, about somewhere between 61.8 and 50% to manage the risk in this trade with good risk management. All things considered, I would prefer this trade where we get our stop down below the swing low and maybe pull back in the area just maybe just above 76.4. This gets us to the optimal target. Why is that the optimal target? Because you can see that in so far 1, 2, and 3 periods, the sellers have held it below that level. And this main area right here, like how high it went before it pulled back at all, shows us where the buying and selling interest at a high price resolves through all the buying and selling over a 5-minute period. Now, a 5-minute chart is just allowing me to zoom in and take a closer look. I'm not actually trading a 5-minute chart. It just makes the chart bigger. I'm trading the flow of money on the 30-minute chart, but looking to manage the risk and set the trade up on the 5-minute. But my decisions are based largely on the 30-minute money flow. All right, so what I'm going to say is we'd like to see this pull back to here in order to enter the trade. So basically some defense at the 76.4, protected by this level and protected by this level. So we'll actually consider that if it comes down. All right, so going to the pound, you can see this is approaching a 3-month high right here, as I said. Now let's zoom in and see what I wasn't very early to the charts this morning because I had a lot of work to do on a different front yesterday, and I didn't even finish up until about midnight. So but I was feeling good, so I continued. I said, I'm going to get up and do this, and I've got a pretty good read on the market this morning. I just wasn't here early enough to take advantage of any of this. So again, this is the 30-minute money. The balance of money is to the top side, showing a trend this week so far of a weakening pound, and we talked a little bit about why that is. Now let's zoom in here and take a look and see how this is holding. What we're looking for is a change. And so going over to the 5-minute, going back to the first barrier, you can see it held exactly right at it. Oh, you know what? There's a tiny bit of an advantage right here. But once it really gets clear, often, you know, these things just boom, one of the things that happens is any sell positions that were in here, when it breaks and shows a major change, what happens is the seller stops or hit right here, which drives this up very quickly. And so then we see a bit of a pullback. We could actually examine this from here to here at the time. And it actually didn't even pull back 38.2. I think because it was moving fast here, if we were to drop down to a 1-minute, we would see a 38.2 pullback or better, showing this to be consistent with the patterns that we look for. All right, so moving to the next level, made a move a little bit choppy, and it stalls out about right here. Let me get this up a little bit. I want to move. I'm not having success here. There we go. So as you can see, it creates this new level, kind of pulls back a little bit. This is a pretty decent pullback. And then it shows a touch off right here where the sellers, again, are defending this level. And then again, what we're looking for is a change. Is anything changed to show that in this range, the buyers have now created another advantage? And that's what we see here. And so once again, the pattern is consistent. Once it does take off into this area, it just keeps going. And so one of the things you have to be careful about there, that's a 40 pip move. That's basically a bus that's already left the station, and only someone who's inexperienced and a little bit greedy with their emotions is going to try to jump on a moving bus. One of the things you got to do is you got to know what you're looking for and then patiently wait for what you're looking for. Now, I want to share with you real quickly. I retired from Forex trading a while back, and one of the things that I did, why is this, oh, there we go. One of the things I did before I did that is I created this book, Forex Legacy. Now, let me tell you what this is. This might be the most valuable Forex trading book you'll ever read. It's what I tried to do was capture my 11 years of Forex trading and my 11 years of working with others to develop this skill. Now notice I give the book away for free, and also notice I don't even ask for an email. You just click on it and there it is, it's yours. And you're welcome to share this with anyone as long as you share the book in its entirety. So you see there's no agenda. There's no agenda. I know everybody's used to an agenda. There's just not an agenda. Why am I here? Well, I was working with traders for a long time. This is my 12th year. And I told them I'd stick around 3 mornings a week, continue to monitor the market, work with them. And, you know, that's actually going on a year now. And I've actually found that I kind of enjoy it. So recently, instead of just doing a little private session with the group on GoToMeeting, I've decided to go ahead and just do it on a broadcast, mainly because I don't have to edit it or anything. Once I record it, like right now, it's live, it's done. All right, let's go back to that euro, see if it pulled back for us. It's trying. You're gonna get some buyers at every one of these levels. Price is stalling. Keep in mind that there's been a lot of enthusiasm here for the euro this morning, a lot of enthusiasm for the pound, but they're at some point they're going to do a reality check and say, hey, we got Fed speaking. Let's see what time the Fed is speaking. They might already have done it. Let me take a look. No, that's tomorrow. 8:55 a.m. So that's 6. So Pelosi already started speaking. Might be done as well. I don't know. I'm not going to put. I don't think there's going to be much from the FOMC event tomorrow. And as you can see, they've got someone out there kind of headed off, creating the perception today. They'll probably just do much of nothing. All right, so again, we're seeing this pullback to 50% right here. We could actually go in anywhere that puts that stop below 76.4, and right here, let me put you that line. Again, that's more aggressive. I would prefer an entry right here around 76.4. Now, it's been bullish all morning, so the sellers will have to push pretty hard to get it down here. As far as this, that's even more aggressive. I personally do not like to take trades like this, but one of the things that you'll see in the book is I teach you essentially, you can't swing for the fences when you start. You have to, learn to hold the bat and, learn what your comfortable style of swinging is. And so I give you a pattern of trading, which gives you a series of logic that basically gives you a track to run on, so that you're practicing the right things, so that eventually you become conscious of kind of the deeper meaning and the higher quality information that all of that is based on. But that requires experience. You don't really know anything without experience. All right, so it continues to push back, you know, starting to get into more conservative territory in terms of a trade. Keep in mind that in an hour and 15 minutes, we're coming into London close, so that'll tend to cause, you know, the London hub to take profits, close out for the day. So that is a factor. I don't think we're there yet. And I will watch if suddenly there starts to be a huge swing of both currencies back the other way. That might indicate some kind of change that I'm not, you know, that I'm not aware of. I'm not seeing it on a news feed or anything. Largely, I don't look at a lot of news. I tend to look at the fundamentals. I just look to see what they're talking about, and I look to see if there's any change in the story. That's what really matters. Is there a change in expectation? Is there a change in the story? Or traders waiting for an event? I think they're kind of waiting a little bit in terms of FOMC, but as I've said, I think it's a non-event. All right, so we see a lot of buy orders right in this 50% area, still holding. You know, do they have another push in them? They probably do have another. Let's see. If you think about it very carefully, the pattern is new ground, pull back, second push, and this is very close to a second push. So as you can see, it moves, pulls back to 38.2. and pushes within 2 pips of that 50-50 reconciliation area. So since they weren't able to push it higher, that might cause them to take more profits, pushing this down a little bit more. And so that's what we're seeing. So I think what we're going to see, as long as there's no new development in the market, we're going to see a lot of orders in this area. Well, just there's some things to watch for. Again, you know, forexartofwar.com. You can get my free book, no obligation, no email, no anything. It's just yours. I do have a community here. You can take a look at that. I'm not doing a lot with that. Just to let you know, my main focus is life coaching now, which I love. But I also really enjoy examining the market and working with traders. All right, so let me go back to my. Oops, I had a bunch of. Let me find my windows here. Doggone it! I made a move and came off the window. Okay, so I'm going to say that's it. I'll be back. I plan to be back tomorrow morning at the same time. You can email me any questions. My name Vance Williams @myself.com. So if you'd like me to cover a topic during the session, just let me know. So until then, you guys have a great day. To the traders in our community, I checked into your forums this morning, kind of checked over your trading work, and I'll do that again today. Have a great one, everyone.